glamour, prestige, and a life-changing fortune with just a snap of your fingers. That is the magnificent illusion the casino industry lays out before you. It is a world where money seems to be created from nothing, and anyone from an anonymous soul to a billionaire believes they are just one lucky hand away from endless wealth. But wake up from the dream. Behind those velvet carpets and dazzling neon lights, luck does not exist. It is a brutal and cold mathematical battlefield, a financial maze where every rule is written in the language of probability and statistics to guarantee a single outcome. You must lose. The house does not need luck to beat you. They operate on the cold certainty of mathematics. Welcome to the business of casino, where we strip away the financial structures, the hidden death traps, and the invisible snares of an industry designed never to lose. To the casual observer or an eager entrepreneur looking at the gaming sector, the raw numbers look intoxicating. A typical blackjack table operates with a house edge that seems modest, while slot machines regularly boast gross margins of 60 to 70%. From a pure spreadsheet perspective, it looks like the ultimate business model: high volume, immediate cash settlement, and absolutely no inventory depreciation. If you calculate the earnings of a mid-sized gaming property on a busy holiday weekend, you see a cash-generating engine that appears almost flawless. But this surface-level profitability is a carefully engineered mirage. The staggering margins only exist because of a massive silent capital investment in human behavior modification. Walk into any premier casino resort, and you're not walking into a building. You're stepping inside a highly sophisticated biological trap. This is the zenith of frictionless consumerism, where every architectural detail is optimized to manipulate human physiology and spatial awareness. Notice the complete absence of windows. Without natural light, your circadian rhythm is instantly disrupted, stripping away your biological cues of day and night. Look around for a clock. You won't find one. Time is systematically erased from the equation. Even the physical pathways are engineered as a labyrinth. You'll never find a straight, logical line from the hotel lobby to the exit. Instead, the winding, curved walkways are designed to maximize the capacity utilization rates of the gaming floor, forcing you to navigate past hundreds of sensory-stimulating slot machines and tables. Reflectively, from an economic standpoint, the house is not actually selling you a chance to win, nor are they selling a premium vacation. They are purchasing your most valuable, non-renewable asset, your time. In this business model, a player's time on the floor is directly correlated to the house's cash flow. Every minute you spend wandering, looking for an exit, or waiting for a drink is a minute where the mathematical law of large numbers works in their favor. The longer you stay, the closer your individual variance aligns with their programmed hold rates. The luxury suites, the discounted 5-star dining, and the complimentary beverages are not hospitality. They are operating expenses calculated to keep your body anchored to a specific coordinate on the gaming floor. The entire structure is a machine built to convert human hours into immediate liquidity. But maintaining this illusion of effortless wealth requires a back-end financial structure that is incredibly fragile. When an ambitious operator decides to build a casino, they assume the primary hurdle is securing physical real estate and financing construction. Seriously, but the true gatekeeper is a grueling, non-refundable regulatory gauntlet known as the fit and proper investigation. In jurisdictions like Nevada, this clearance process routinely drags on for 12 to 24 months. State and federal investigators don't just skim your financial history. They perform a deep forensic audit on your entire life. Every single bank transaction, corporate partnership, and real estate acquisition you have made over the last 15 years is dissected. They will trace the origin of every dollar to ensure absolutely zero illicit capital enters the financial system. The legal and administrative compliance fees alone represent a massive upfront capital expenditure that yields zero guaranteed return. You can easily spend millions of dollars in legal fees and forensic accounting audits only to be denied a gaming license at the finish line, turning your initial investment into an immediate and absolute write-off. Should you survive this regulatory screening, you enter the grueling domain of daily operations, where the relentless pressure of fixed cost rigidity begins to choke your liquidity. Unlike traditional commercial real estate, where landlords can pass operating expenses down to tenants or scale down services during a slow season, a casino must run at full capacity 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The largest component of this operational burden is the fully loaded labor cost. Consider an empire like MGM Resorts International, which must support a global workforce of over 80,000 active employees. Every single hour of every day, you are paying for dealers, pit bosses, floor managers, security detail, surveillance analysts, hospitality staff, and executive teams. Whether the casino floor is packed with high rollers or entirely empty on a Tuesday morning, this massive human machine consumes millions of dollars in payroll without any option for immediate reduction. You cannot shut down tables or turn off slot machines to save money, because doing so instantly decreases your capacity utilization rate and signals financial distress to the market. But the most brutal partner in this business model is the government, which takes its cut directly from the top line before any operational bills are settled. This is done through the Gross Gaming Revenue Tax, or GGR. In the gaming mecca of Macau, this tax rate is a crushing 40%. To put this in perspective, for every $100 left on a baccarat table, 40 of them are immediately siphoned by the state. This levy is applied to gross revenue, meaning it is completely indifferent to your actual profitability. You must pay this 40% before you pay your dealers, before you cover your multi-million-dollar utility bills, and long before you service your corporate debt. Even in Nevada, where the headline tax rate of 6.75% appears far more favorable, the actual tax burden on operating margins is significantly higher once you factor in additional federal compliance fees, payroll taxes, and local municipal assessments. To protect this remaining highly taxed cash flow from professional card counters, digital cheaters, and internal theft, you must continuously invest in defensive technology. The modern security infrastructure of a casino is an incredibly complex network of high-definition cameras and artificial intelligence known as the eye in the sky. Installing this integrated system on a mid-sized gaming floor costs an immediate $5 million in capital expenditure. But the cost does not stop at installation. To remain compliant with federal regulations and stay ahead of increasingly sophisticated cheating syndicates, operators must pay a mandatory maintenance and casino management software update of $1.5 million every 3 years. This software is non-negotiable. If your surveillance tech falls behind, regulatory boards can freeze your operations instantly, cutting off your cash flow while your massive fixed costs continue to accumulate. Every day you operate, you are caught in a relentless vice of compounding expenses. The licensing demands eat your time and capital before you open, the labor costs bleed your cash flow every hour, the state taxes your top-line revenue without regard for your losses, and the technology demands constant multi-million-dollar upgrades just to keep the doors open. Under this crushing weight of fixed expenses, how does any casino survive? The answer lies in a hidden automated cash cow that never sleeps. To transition from a high-friction expense trap into a highly efficient, cash-generating system, smart operators rely on a counterintuitive financial strategy. This is where we dissect the masterclass of cross-subsidization, starting with the concept of loss leaders. In a premier casino resort, you are frequently offered surprisingly low rates on 5-star hotel rooms or even completely free dining experiences at world-class restaurants. These are not acts of hospitality, they are deliberate strategic losses. Financially, the food, beverage, and hotel segments often run on thin or even negative operating margins. By absorbing a calculated hit on these auxiliary services, the operator lowers the physical friction of entry, pulling you deep inside the resort and anchoring your presence. The cash leaked on a complimentary steak dinner is quickly clawed back once you step near the gaming floor. The true destination for this subsidized foot traffic is not the blackjack or baccarat tables featured in Hollywood cinema. The real economic engine of any modern casino is the slot machine floor. Unlike table games, which demand a high, fully loaded labor cost, constant dealer rotations, and are subject to wild swings and short-term player variance, slot machines are automated, high-margin, capital-light assets. A modern slot floor operates with an exceptional gross margin of 60 to 70%. These devices require no wages, take no breaks, and work tirelessly 24 hours a day, maintaining a mathematically programmed win percentage that no player can ever alter. To see this in action, look at the audited reports of MGM Resorts International. During the fourth quarter of 2024, within their domestic Las Vegas segment alone, slot machines generated a record win of $648 million. This was achieved while maintaining a highly stable and predictable hold rate of approximately 9.5%. Through the law of large numbers, every single dollar slid into those machines is subject to a cold statistical certainty. For every $100 wagered by the public, the house systematically pockets $9.5. This incredibly stable, recurring cash flow acts as a vital buffer. It absorbs the high volatility of the high-stakes VIP baccarat tables, where a small cluster of lucky players can occasionally win tens of millions of dollars in a single weekend and temporarily disrupt the casino's net interest margin. By leveraging mass-market slot machines to subsidize luxury hospitality, the casino built an incredibly resilient revenue model. To understand this industry, we must compare two entirely different operational models: the local establishment versus the global giant. First, consider the local model, a regional tribal casino. On paper, it is lean and highly attractive, driven entirely by drive-in, day-trip players. There are no Michelin star restaurants or luxury hotel towers to support, keeping labor and maintenance costs remarkably low. However, this simplicity conceals a fatal vulnerability to local economic shifts, specifically highway traffic metrics. Because the property lacks international tourism, a minor spike in regional fuel prices or a slight dip in local traffic instantly guts its margins. When local budgets tighten, discretionary entertainment is the first to go, plunging a seemingly stable operation straight into the red. Now, contrast this with the mega resort model, like the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Here, gaming is merely one component of a massive real estate and capital management play. Revenue is cross-subsidized by luxury retail tenants who pay a percentage of their sales directly to the house once they hit a specific revenue milestone. Yet, sustaining this colossal engine requires astronomical debt. These multi-billion-dollar properties are financed through massive credit facilities and high-yield bonds, creating crushing monthly debt obligations. This risk is amplified by the volatility of VIP credit markers. When international high rollers default due to capital controls or insolvency, tens of millions in paper profits evaporate into bad debt write-offs, dragging down net interest margins. This structural vulnerability is not theoretical, it is a recorded historical reality. To understand what happens when these two forces, high leverage and fixed cost rigidity, collide with a systemic macroeconomic shock, we must examine the audited financial reports of MGM Resorts International during the unprecedented crisis of 2020. Prior to the crisis in 2019, MGM was operating at a historic peak, generating $12.9 billion in consolidated net revenue. But when the global economy ground to an absolute halt and properties were forced into mandatory lockdowns, their capacity utilization rate plummeted to zero. For the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, MGM's consolidated net revenue collapsed by 60%, falling to just $5.2 billion. In a traditional business, a 60% drop in revenue is met with an immediate proportional reduction in variable costs. But an integrated resort is bound by the brutal law of fixed cost rigidity. Even with the gaming floors entirely empty, the physical plants could not be shut down. The air conditioning systems had to run continuously to prevent humidity damage to multi-million-dollar interior finishes and electronic slot systems. Security forces had to patrol the massive perimeters. Insurance premiums, property taxes, and the cost of capital remained entirely unchanged. Furthermore, the debt service on their massive outstanding liabilities continued to compound every single day. Even after executing aggressive labor force reductions, laying off thousands of employees and cutting variable marketing budgets to the bone, MGM Resorts was hemorrhaging cash at a rate of approximately $4.6 million every 24 hours just to keep the dark properties in a state of stasis. By the end of 2020, MGM Resorts reported a staggering $1 billion net loss. The sheer velocity of this cash strain forced the major credit rating agencies, S&P and Fitch, to take immediate action. S&P downgraded MGM's corporate credit rating deep into speculative high-yield territory, commonly referred to as junk status, lowering it to B+ with a negative outlook. This rating downgrade immediately triggered covenant clauses in their existing credit facilities, driving up their cost of borrowing and making the refinancing of their near-term debt maturities significantly more expensive. This financial autopsy exposes a fundamental truth that many middle-market investors overlook when chasing scale. In the world of high-leverage commercial real estate and gaming, scaling up your operations does not dilute your risk, it amplifies it. Doing business at a small scale, like a regional tribal casino, exposes you to local volatility that is difficult but manageable. But when you transition to a multi-billion-dollar integrated resort, you're no longer just running a business. You're managing a massive, highly leveraged financial institution that is highly sensitive to capital markets, interest rate fluctuations, and sovereign regulatory shifts.
If you scale without a meticulous fortress-like approach to asset liability matching and cash flow preservation, a single macroeconomic freeze will exploit your fixed cost rigidity and dismantle your entire empire before your eyes. When facing a liquidity chokehold that could bankrupt the king in months, the giants of the industry had to completely rewrite the rules of asset ownership. To survive a systemic crisis that can bankrupt the king in a matter of months, the global elite of the integrated resort world do not rely on hope. They execute a profound balance sheet transformation known as the asset-light strategy. Look at the calculated moves of MGM Resorts. To secure emergency liquidity during periods of zero capacity utilization, the group executed a massive restructuring by selling the physical, multi-billion-dollar real estate of iconic assets like the Bellagio and the MGM Grand to real estate investment trusts, specifically VICI Properties. MGM did not pack up and leave. Instead, they immediately leased back those exact physical structures, effectively transforming dead equity locked in concrete into massive active cash reserves. This transition from a property owner to a pure operator dramatically alters the corporate risk profile, turning heavy depreciation costs into fluid capital. Yet this transition only works if you understand how to negotiate commercial leases like a seasoned financier. The elite operators do not sign flat-rate rental agreements that would expose them to default during a macro squeeze. Instead, they structure highly flexible leases containing key protective clauses. First, they establish a low base rent to keep their downside liability manageable during market contractions. To sweeten the deal for the REIT landlords, they introduce a percentage rent structure tied directly to a specific breakpoint. Under this framework, the landlord only captures a higher rent yield once the casino's revenue crosses a predetermined performance milestone. If a crisis hits and revenues plummet, the lease obligations automatically contract toward the low base rent, shifting a massive portion of the operational risk back onto the property owner. Furthermore, to maintain absolute solvency, these giants establish an ironclad cash reserve buffer anchored to an optimized debt service coverage ratio, or DSCR. While a standard commercial real estate asset might target a DSCR of 1.25, a highly resilient gaming operator aims for a significantly higher coverage multiplier. This ensures that even if GGR taxes, labor costs, and capital expenditures fluctuate wildly, the remaining high-margin slot machines is more than sufficient to cover interest and lease payments several times over. They do not view cash as idle capital. They view it as the ultimate weapon of systemic defense. This is just an illustrative example to help you understand the power of long-term compounding. Your actual results will depend on your income, expenses, returns, and investment choices. Because in the grand theater of global commerce, whether you are managing a $5 billion resort or a small boutique on Main Street, the fundamental laws of liquidity remain exactly the same. When you negotiate your next commercial lease, do not just look at the base rent. Perform your own audit. Scrutinize the common area maintenance fees, verify the co-tenancy clauses, and ensure you establish a rental breakpoint that scales with your actual revenue. In the financial arena, the house does not need luck to win. They only need you to play without understanding the cold mathematics of liquidity. Protect your capital, master the operational metrics, and transition from a passive spender to an active asset manager. If this forensic breakdown changed the way you look at business models, hit the like button and leave a comment below with the next industry you want us to dissect. Share this with a fellow investor, and we'll see you in the next economic blueprint.